Hi everyone, we're here today to cook kidney beans, otherwise known traditionally as Rajma. So I'll run you through the ingredients. First and foremost, you need some kidney beans. So I'll show you some that I've actually cooked. Pretty hard to see, but hopefully you can see. Put the light on a bit, yeah, them in there. So I've got 1 cup of kidney beans that I soaked overnight in plain water. They were then put in a pressure cooker for 20 minutes and they've just come out the pressure cooker, hence they look nice and hot. I know it's difficult to see, but you'll see more in the cook method. So you've got to soak them overnight first, guys. Have a look for any ones that look a bit off, whether they're off colour and not the traditional purple-ish colour, or deep red rather. So once that's cooked, we are ready to use it in the main recipe. So I'll take you through the ingredients. We have first and foremost 2 tablespoons of garlic and ginger paste. We've got a medium-sized onion chopped. We have half a pepper chopped. That's optional. I always add peppers to most of my dishes because they're very good in vitamin C. Some fresh coriander, which we'll use at the end of the dish. In terms of spices, we have half a teaspoon of cumin seed. We have half a teaspoon of chili. If you like it hotter, you can put more chili in there. I've got about 3/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric powder. And then towards the end of the cook, I've got a few things I'll talk about in a second which are here. I've then got a heaped teaspoon of coriander powder, and as I just said, towards the end of the cook, so we've got some amchur powder, half a teaspoon, which is mango powder. I've then got a heaped teaspoon of garam masala, and then last but not least, I've then got some fenugreek leaves, which will be put in right towards the end. Also optional right at the end is to put a little bit of lemon juice in there, and of course the seasoning, which is salt. So first things first, I've got a pan with approximately 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm using a non-stick pan today. This kind of dish is fine with a non-stick pan. You don't have to have a fancy aluminium or any other kind of cooking utensil. You can also make this in a normal pan. So that heat's been on a while. It is nice and hot. So I'm going to change the cooking angle in a sec so you can see the cooking a bit better over the pan. We'll start off with the cumin seed, we'll put the onions in, and then we'll take it from there. So hopefully a better angle for you guys to see the actual cook. So first things first, I'm going to put the cumin seed in. And immediately I should cook in the oil. Be careful you don't cook that for too long. If it starts going black, you've overcooked it, and by doing that I would throw it out and start again. So you want the cumin seeds just to activate in the oil, and you should be able to smell the aroma from it almost within about 15 seconds. So they've already turned a nice brownish colour, so I'm going to put the onion in. That should sizzle. There you go. And just mix it all together. So you want to cook the onions until they get to a nice soft texture. You don't want the onions to get too brown. If you do let them go too brown, then they'll go a bit soggy. You don't really want that. So I'll come back in a minute or two and just let them cook. So a couple of minutes have passed, guys, and the onions are starting to brown a little bit, which is perfect. You don't want them to brown too much. So next thing I'm going to do is add the 2 tablespoons of garlic and ginger paste. You can, of course, use fresh ginger or garlic paste. But I prefer to use the paste. So immediately there'll be a smell of the probably the ginger more than the garlic. You want to cook it for a minute or two, just until the the garlicky, gingery smell disappears, and just move it around a little bit. But again, don't do it too long, otherwise it will burn and you will affect your flavours in your dish. Hopefully you can hear me. It's a bit noisy, this cook. Careful as well, I'm staying back. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there's a bit of oil spitting around. So about a minute or so has passed. The smell has disappeared. So it's time to add some spices to it. So I'm going to be adding the coriander first. The turmeric, or haldi as it's called. The chili powder. I've not put a massive amount of chili in. And give it a good mix. Now, it's completely optional to which one you use. Put that off so you can hear me. This dish needs tomatoes, so you can either take a tin of freshly chopped tomatoes, which I have here, or you can use a few fresh tomatoes, chop them up and put them in. I prefer to use this. It's nice, it's easier, there's more liquid to it. So I'm just going to add that to it next. Now, you'll find lots of recipes if you have a look online recommend you add water to the dish. Now, we're not going to add water to this dish because, and I'll just grab this again. Look at that, in the pressure cook there's lots of water in there, and that water's got the lovely colour from the kidney beans. So what we're going to do is use some of that water in a little bit. So to get the flavour into the mixture here, you want to be on a medium gas, which is there, medium, and then I'm going to let it get to temperature where it starts bubbling again. I took it off a second ago just so you guys could hear me, so it was a bit noisy. So I'm going to get it back to temperature again, and then I'm going to really put the gas down. So we're going to simmer it, and we're going to simmer it for a good 20 minutes. I know that sounds like a long time, guys, but usually the longer you simmer it, the better the flavour will be, and it's all about flavour. And at this point, I'm going to add in the peppers. Now, I like my peppers to have a little bit of a crunch on them. If you don't like peppers to have a crunch, you can add them at the same time when the onions were added, and then they'll become softer. But they will naturally go a little bit soft during the simmering process. So I'm just folding that all in there, and it's starting to bubble again. Once all of it is bubbling, I'm then going to reduce the heat. So when I cook, I normally use this spatula. It's silicone, it's flexible, easy to use. So I'm spread that out a little bit, and it's all nearly bubbling. So once that bubbles, as I said, I'm going to simmer it, put it down in terms of heat, leave it for 20 minutes. Let the mixture come down a bit, hence why it then needs some water added to it, but we'll take the water from the pressure cook earlier. So we'll be back in about 15-20 minutes. So I'm just going to put the gas down, and if you're using an electric hob, just turn it down to probably number 3 or 4. So that's down now. We'll leave that to it. In about 5 minutes I will come back and just literally do that and fold it over, just to get an even surface on there. So come back in about 15-20 minutes. Hopefully you can see that a bit clearer now. So it's been in for about maybe 7-8 minutes simmering away, so it's just reducing and reducing. So you just want to fold it over, get it nicely mixed over. So obviously it's getting less saucy in terms of liquid. That's what you want, because that's when we'll add the extra water to it. So So I'll just spread it out a bit more. If you find, so for example on mine, my gas hob's on minimum heat at the minute, and it's doing it quite quickly. I reckon I probably won't need the full 20 minutes, maybe 15. We'll see how we get on. I just really want, there's a bit of sauce here I want to go, and I want all the flavours to be absorbed nicely. So the onions are nicely done. The peppers are nice as well. They'll be medium soft. So once that's all done, guys, we will then look to put in the kidney beans from that again. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to use a strainer to take the water out, but again, as I said, you want to keep the water, don't throw it away. Lots of flavour in there. The other thing good to mention is you can use bird's eye chilies in these. If you don't like chili powder, you can use fresh chili flakes, or you can completely remove the chili if you don't like chili dishes at all. The other thing to mention as well is I used a tin of chopped tomatoes, and there are little bits of tomato chunks in there, which is, I love it like that. However, some people don't like that, so you could put it through a food processor at first if you wish, if you want it a very, very nice sauce. I'm going to be eating this with rice later on, but whether you make some chapatis or naan or rice, or even some flatbread, whatever you prefer, having it with, you know, a bit of substance to it, I prefer. So that's why I like it like that way. So again, spread it out. There's a bit of sauce here. I want to just disappear a bit. So I reckon in another 5 or 6 minutes that'll be ready to add the kidney beans, the rajma to, and some water. So I'll leave that like that, and we'll come back in about maybe 6-7 minutes. So that's nicely reduced and flavours would have been absorbed. So I've also drained out the runner beans using that, and then the juices underneath. Now, bearing in mind this was just under about a cup's worth, when you put it in a cup the night before, when you soak it in the water, the following day you get very, very big. So obviously this is after these have been cooked. If you don't have a pressure cooker, you can boil them on a medium heat for a period, and you've just got to keep checking to make sure they're nice and soft. So see that, nice and soft, that's what should happen. So I won't use that one in the dish, but so they're the runner beans that we're gonna, not runner beans, sorry, kidney beans we're gonna put in the dish in a second. So first things first, spread all of that out, and then we're going to throw this in. There we go. So there is quite a lot there, yeah. So this will probably be enough for probably 4 servings, I would say. 3 servings if you're feeling hungry. So mix in the masala, that's what it's called. So that tomatoes with the onion and the ginger and the garlic, it's called masala. So put that in there. Now my runner beans are warm because they were just cooked just before we start this video, and even though they've been sitting there for about 20 minutes, they don't need that much heating up. If you had already made them and you just took them out of the fridge, make sure you let this simmer to a point where the runner beans are a nice temperature. So now that's all covered there, it's quite a thick consistency. Now that dish is not supposed to be like that, so what we're going to do is, I've got a normal cup, I'm going to take probably half a cup at a time of juice out of here, like so, and pour it in. So there's half a cup. I'm now going to increase my heat back to medium, halfway there we go, and then we need to make sure there's enough heat in the water, and we want a really nice consistency. I'm probably going to add a little bit more water to it. Once you've used the water, you can then of course discard this. if you're not a fan of that, you can just use normal water. But I promise you, using the juices from the pressure cook will give you a really nice colour, and it'll give you a really nice flavour as well. So I'm just folding all of this mixture in, and once that's in, I'm going to add some more to it, and then again I'm going to let it simmer again. So another half cup. And that's now nice and saucy, and that's what you want. So by simmering this, the colour should deepen some more. I've got two lights above here, so it looks quite light. So if I actually take them off, you see there, that's what it looks like. It just looks a bit lighter because of the lights that I've got. So when you're cooking it at home, it should be a deep orange, deep red-ish colour. So once that's up to temperature, I'm actually going to add a little bit more water to it actually. Another half cup. There we go. I'm now going to knock the heat back, let that simmer again until some of that water evaporates, and then we will put on the finishing bits and pieces, and I will put some lemon juice in it, and that'll be the dish done, guys. So it's not a difficult dish to make, very few ingredients, it's very flavoursome. It will keep in the fridge for 4 days afterwards. Very, very good for your health, and it's a great alternative to having a meat dish. So I will leave that to simmer. I'm going to put the heat down on minimum, which it is now, and then we'll be back in about 10 or 15 minutes. So this has been simmering away for about 20 minutes, guys. So I'll tell you how you know when it's about done. So in terms of the water we added before, it's not watery anymore. See how that, if I move it to one side, sauce is thick and runny. It's like double cream, texture of double cream. See there? So it's not watery. If it's watery, you need to keep simmering, okay? Or if it's far too watery, you might have added too much water to it earlier. So that is very nice at the minute in terms of texture, and in terms of how it's looking. So that's exactly how we want it. So now we just need to finish off the spices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the amchur powder. Amchur gives it a nice bit of a zing and a zang taste to it. I know it's a hard spice to find. You don't find it in most supermarkets, etc. It's normally something you've got to hunt out. You can buy it on some online retailers. So amchur is in there. I want to give that a nice mix. And then once the amchur is in there, and it doesn't need simmering by any means, it's an almost immediate flavour into the dish. So amchur is in there, and next we're going to add the garam masala. Just sprinkle that a bit everywhere. So mix the garam masala in, and then we'll finish off with the fenugreek leaves. Fenugreek, again, I know some people struggle to find it. I have seen it in a lot of common supermarkets, so it should be available. I know some people try to make their own. Highly recommend adding it. It gives that nice traditional flavour to the dish. So, see that? It's not watery at all. So, now that's mixed in. Last thing I'm going to add in is the heaped teaspoon of fenugreek leaves. Some people just leave it like that and then serve the dish. I don't. I personally mix it in. And then the secret ingredient, guys, salt. So you need to add a decent amount of salt to bring the flavour out. So you can have it without any salt, but it'll probably taste a bit lacking in terms of flavour. So you need to have a minimum half a teaspoon in there. Taste it after half a teaspoon. If it feels right, carry on. If it doesn't feel right, then you know what to do. So if you've simmered this for too long and suddenly all of your juices have completely gone, so this is just right. If I simmered this for much longer, it would be too dry of a curry. You can always add some of that. That's why you shouldn't throw it away. I'll tell you what, I'll add a little bit now just to show you what to do. Literally just a tiny bit, throw it in there, mix it up, and it just gives you some of that wetness back to it if you need it. Yeah, so that's how it should look. So some salt. I'm going to put in around about half a teaspoon ish. Oh, maybe 3/4 in there actually. And then sprinkle it everywhere. Give it a good mix. And there you go. Your dish is complete. Now, again, optional, a little bit of lemon juice. I like to add lemon juice to it. I normally use it from a container, so it's already done for me, rather than using fresh. So that's a dish complete. I'm going to serve this with some basmati rice. Now, you can taste it just to check your seasoning, because if it's not right, add a bit more. Yeah, that tastes fine. Right amount of lemon juice in there as well. So I will put that to one side, and now going to take it out, clean up the kitchen, and we'll make some rice and serve. So that's the finished dish, guys. So a bit of chopped coriander on top, some red onion on the side, and a nice red chilli in the middle. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the cook. Please, as ever, subscribe to the channel and my page, and please share or tag me in any pictures that are used from your cooks. Any questions, give me a shout on YouTube or on Instagram or Facebook. I'm down as Cooking with Rishi. I will come back to you as soon as I can.